Hey y'all, it's B and Sam checking in. We're in beautiful Guatemala and we're taking in the scope of our last 6 months of travels through Mexico.
After our van, Big Milton, got dinged in San Diego, we toured a few places in Mexico, flying out of the border town of Tijuana. We spent a lot of time in both La Paz and Mexico City. Although we were disheartened that our van was wrecked, we felt lucky to be able to spend an entire month in the historic center of Mexico City.
But before we knew it, the van was ready. We flew back to Tijuana, picked up the good as new Big Milton in San Diego, and started our driving journey just a few months later than we had planned. We hope you enjoy this video of our adventures through Mexico.
High five! While we waited in Tijuana, we couldn't pass up the chance to dine at Caesar's, the originators of the Caesar salad. Once everything was lined up regarding Big Milton's repairs, we flew off towards La Paz, hoping to catch some whale sharks. It was still season, but we missed them, though we were in time to catch Carnival in La Paz.
After La Paz, we jetted off towards Mexico City to really explore and immerse ourselves. We were lucky enough to find a spot near the historic center of the city. It was within walking distance of the Presidential Palace, the Palace of Fine Arts, and other awesome locations. It was at the Palace of Fine Arts where we got to witness our first rooster fight, along with some amazing folkloric dancing. We made sure to travel to Teotihuacan to visit the Temple of the Sun and the Temple of the Moon. This site predates the Aztecs, but was eventually inhabited by them and other Mesoamerican groups. In addition to historical stops, we had to throw in some spooky kitsch, namely the Island of the Dolls, which is within Xochimilco. We were able to also meet up with some friends and have fancy cocktails at the Handshake Speakeasy. We also got to squeeze in some Spamalot. Though the best part was getting to go to the main arena to watch some lucha libre. We had an absolute blast in Mexico City, and pretty soon Big Milton was ready to go again.
Once Milton was back in action, we crossed back into Mexico and started exploring Baja, California. First, it was Ensenada. Our van elf, Natalie, came to visit us in Rosarito, and then towards San Felipe, where it was smooth travels towards Puertocitos. B wasted no time in getting into the water. The place had hot springs, and we even got to see a blue whale off in the distance. We kept heading down the Baja Peninsula and made our way to the town of Guerrero Negro, which has late-season tours to one of the major gray whale nursing lagoons in the area. We quickly booked on the boat and headed up to see if we were in luck.
Another highlight of this adventure was getting to Cabo Pumo, which esteemed oceanographer Jacques Cousteau dubbed the world's aquarium. It's located at the end of the Baja Peninsula. I was constantly in the water and surrounded by schools of fish. Continuing on, we started to drive back towards the impending ferry and hit up Bahia de los Muertos, Bay of the Dead. We saw some jumping rays and plenty more fish.
And just like that, we found ourselves on the ferry from La Paz towards Mazatlan. We were leaving the Baja Peninsula. It was another blink of an eye, and suddenly the port of Mazatlan was visible, and we were on the mainland of Mexico. Mazatlan is one of my favorite places, so much so that we did a lot of exploring but not much filming. It's got an awesome seawall and lots to do. We stopped by Puerto Vallarta with the sole intention of dining at Taqueria Los Mapaches. It's a taco spot where your food is always at risk of being swiped by raccoons. We continued down the Pacific coast and found a lovely beach named Playa de las Tortugas, and then we headed inland towards Tequila. We found an awesome family-owned distillery called Tequila Puntual. It was in that same region that we traveled to San Miguel de Allende and made some more awesome friends.
We then made it to Guadalajara, which is an amazingly vibrant and large state. We wanted to really see the charo lifestyle and were lucky that our friends Hannah and Matt were also in the area and wanted to check out an event. Our last stop was the beautiful and old-world town of Guanajuato. We lucked into a week of holidays and processions.
Our travels next took us towards the mountains, starting with the world-renowned Grutas de Tolantonga, which were breathtaking. There were pools on the mountainside and then springs in the caves. You could definitely go further, but it was way too hot for us. Further along, we got to the UNESCO-recognized basaltic rock formations called the Prismas Balsáticos de Santa Maria Regla. We closed out the region by visiting the quaint town of Valquirico. Our route started to take us towards the state of Mexico, which we'd already explored a bit when we flew to Mexico City. So we headed to Puebla instead and really took in the surrounding towns in that region. One of the highlights was the oldest public library in the Americas. Another cool area was the ex Hacienda de Chautla, which has a whole moat. We also hit Oaxaca and of course had the cheese and artisanal mezcal. Bonus, on our way out we found an HEB.
On the way towards the Gulf of Mexico, we stopped in Chiapas. This church in Chamula has both Catholic and shamanism. You can go inside, but no video or photos are allowed. The surrounding areas had cool caves, waterfalls, and paths to explore. We arrived at Palenque, which is an archaeological site of great importance to Mayan history and culture. We saw many awesome temples and burial chambers in the region. The icing on the cake was a family of howler monkeys that would jump from tree to tree as they snacked on fruit.
We'd finally arrived on the Gulf. Here we did a lot. We and our friend Jen had a blast diving at several cenotes. Suddenly, the reality did hit us in Bacalar, that our amazing journey in Mexico was coming to a close. With one last encounter with a toucan, we packed up and headed for the border with Belize. All in all, we traveled 3,900 miles or 6,300 kilometers. Stay tuned for more adventures to come from Belize, Guatemala, and further south.